A delegation of top Edo traditional rulers led by the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Iyaloja-General II, arriving the forecourt of the presidential villa. Loud chants in response to the president's greeting upon into the conference room where there's a gathering of chiefs. The Oba of Benin is confident that the president has recorded salient achievements since his assumption.
Support to show support for the administration. Nigerians should support the president. He will work. He's already working. He's already as he can't run in. Everybody's saying it. So that's a they should support the president, of course. We will support the president. The generals will support the president. We must support the president to be successful.
Early minutes after the departure of the Oba of Benin, the vice chairman of the Edo State Council of Obas and Chiefs, Royal Highness Oba Francis Alawo, accompanied by members of his team, arrived at the State House.
It's just a courtesy visit to the president and to wish him well a successful tenure. This government means business, and the business is to serve the people, to bring dividends of democracy to the people.
The president had last month met with royal fathers from the 6 geopolitical zones under the aegis of the National Council of Traditional Rulers in a forum where he appealed for greater collaboration. Separately, and for the second time since the president took office, he meets with former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Ambode. Before now, the only other known time the president met with Mr. Ambode was at a reception held in honor of President Tinubu by the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. These visits come 24 hours after the president declared a state of emergency on food security and got the approval by the Senate of an $800 million World Bank loan to finance the National Safety Net program. From the presidential villa, Doria Umezuke, Channel Television News.
So,
the government, are you trying to pocket Nigeria's or private property, sir? You can
shut up. It's visual house. Only they are there from their rights. Well, today is an attempt to do damage control, because I see even some of the governor's followers and supporters have capitulated, giving in to this cheap propaganda. And I'm disappointed. These are until. So let's do some damage control.
Me, Mosé, celui de so I know this is an association now. You have an association to gather yourself together to be more powerful to harness the power of women to help the political class, more or less. So I believe, I'm sure you are budget. Every I have discussed this this matter of EJ with my chief. Those that are not even maybe more than myself. I don't know. Maybe one of them. But such subject matter to educate. You said to inaugurate. What is that? To inaugurate market leaders. I think market leaders here. But do you know the role of India in Benin culture? Do you, if I may just really ask you, Madam? Thank you very much. But every India has a special relationship with party. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of that? We can get on that. Okay, over. Yes. Do you know too that every year we have a role to play inside the market? Cultural role. Yes. They have to perform. Yes. That every market in the need. Yes. So actually told you, I want to call upon, please, I want to call upon some of the chiefs here to they are requesting that they want to get their views so that you can all be well educated, enlightened about the DJG as we know it in the culture of the need.
They are independent in the particular market, like urban markets, Ogisu, and Badu, and all of. The select their leaders for within them, those who are leaders there. They play more than the role of just coordinating. They are setting strength inhabited in all the markets. They play the setting role on behalf of the palace. So after selection, they bring but that person that is not their head in the palace permission. So when the palace is needed, and is that yet in that particular market that the palace sends such messages to, and they play that role simplicity. The novelty of general is in customer tradition. Because believe that it's a social, maybe it's a social cultural thing because we are having associations that we have jobs. But it doesn't accord to have the general hierarchy. Honestly, we'll be very about that. But like, let me say, when I ask that, the hierarchy is particular to each market. No one has right and control of that value in another market. For example, the hierarchy in another market has nothing to do with the hierarchy in that value. The one in that value has no role to play in the QSA and so on and so forth. Yeah. Everyone, everybody, man. It does not exempt anyone from trading there or going to the market. So it's for everyone.
And you are not going to affect the activities that are going there. So long as the of any particular market does what is expected of her in the shrine in that particular market for the Oba for the palace. Well, as long as you know, something that I was going on that. Like I said, we asked about women power, women power. I hope our politicians, our leaders, they will ensure that they are giving women positions in the of the government, federal government, state government, and so on. There's a proper representation for women, not just in the market. It should not be very those market. It should also be in the role of the government. Thank you very much. So long as you have this in your mind, whatever you are doing, this bear this in mind. We are not going to say much more than that. I said explain to you the culture of Iyeki's role in Benin, which is
Iyaloja. Okay. When you see women like this, the name of market that ungraduated here or the company is not doing well, just look at it. Our women will not it's educated elite. Yeah, our propaganda.
The administration of President Bola Tinubu has funded
The propaganda, the way this with the educated class, our propaganda not just the follow, man. How do you present women? It's so colorful, they are rich, glamorous, and you call them market women. How do you, I mean, make it make sense? And then the next day you come out and say that Nigerians are suffering, Nigerians, the third world. Well, I mean, we know they try, we know, I think we can do better. That's why the American elite class, they just, their level of brainwashing the general public is top notch. They don't come out looking different, or when they are presenting their propaganda, they reflect the reality of whatever the state of the nation or that particular region they are trying to project. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. To that one eye that is watching me, we are in this together. Today is an attempt to do damage control. As I earlier said, even the supporters of Monday Kwaholo has given in, have thrown in the towel. All of them begin, trying to follow the narrative that is put out there by PDP. Is I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed to my co-comrades, my village people. I'm disappointed in my mates who are in support of Monday Power, support of this Edo State government. I am disappointed that this cheap propaganda, this small trials, and they're all for it. Can't fall for this kind of shit. Can't fall for it. I'm disappointed. I am disappointed. Anyway, as I said, let's see if we can do some damage control. The whole shenanigan did not start today, as we can see on the screen. This letter was sent to the palace on April 30th, 2024. I mean, that's the date on it. It's showing clearly. April 3rd. April 30th, sorry, my bad, 2024. So it was over a year ago. That was the letter that was sent by the National Market Council of Nigeria, NAMCO, motto. It should be Unity Market Leaders, United Market Leader, I guess, or something like that. But so this is a letter sent to the palace, it shows that the palace has actually received it by the stamp. With this stamp, this is the Benin Traditional Council, Oba Palace, Benin City received. So, yep, it was received on the. This date is okay. Anyway, it was acknowledged, it was received, but there was no response, which is typical of the institution, especially when you are not making any sense or you are trying to undermine the powers of the palace. They're not going to pay you attention. But I think I will need to also, before we continue, understand what is at play here. Right? This is literally beyond the pay grade of Monday Paholo, even the lady in picture, Tinubu. This also above a pay grade. This is a battle between political power and the traditional power. I'm talking about the man himself, Bola Tinubu, and the Oba of Benin. And that's why I played the first video where the Obas and the Royal Palace pay Tinubu visit 2 years ago when few weeks or months into his the administration. And my conclusion then was all is not well. I concluded that all is not well. Why? Because the posture that Oba display in terms of the timing of the visit, what he came out to tell the media, or the whole palace being, an entourage, but most importantly, who visited after he left. So, and outside that, other reason that led me to that conclusion was the fact that I believe that Oba was more leaning towards Obi, leading towards 2023, as far as I'm concerned. And then that's 2. 3, I mean, is in charge now. Bola Tinubu is in charge. It only makes sense that doesn't take any state for granted. What do I mean? Every structure that is out there that is capable of delivering numbers, it has to be under your control. It only makes sense. Can't leave anything unturned. Can't take anything for granted. And the market is where the Obas and likes have leverage. Going by Oba's speech, I will come to that later. Specifically pointed out that they have a traditional role that the market women leader play for the palace. He emphasized on that to make not just to make Bola Tinubu daughter aware that your request or your move, you can display you want, but it's dead on arrival. But most importantly, to also tell the father that, come, regardless of how you move around, whoever that you pick to be the leader, she has no choice than to follow the rules of the law, which is to establish a relationship with the palace. Now, we'll get to that point. So, if I did Bola Tinubu too, I would do the same thing. The same thing means what? Every structure that is out there that is capable of delivering numbers, votes, I go after it. So, what is playing out is not, expected. It's just that the theatric out of it, the dramatization of the whole process, the belittling the powers of the traditional rulers, then one begin to ask question. Come on, is there more to it? Because again, a lot of people who see it as an opportunity to say, I told you so, the governor will sell out, da, 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 da. What they are narrow vision, they are narrow minded, could not see, or is not seeing, is that it is a message to all the other royal institutions across the country. So they are paying attention. There is a famous visit between Oba of Benin, Emir of Kano, and Saudona, just days, days before the election or days after the 2023 election. So you might be rejoicing right now because, okay, Bola Tinubu is toying with the Oba powers, is rich, using his daughter, right? Fine, but it is a loud message to every other royal institution out there that this is what is going to happen if you don't play along. Watch out for Kanu, because that is still very much on the red alert, right? So, and Oba, so Bola Tinubu has to, shows that I am in charge, and I'm in charge of every inch of the federation. As I said, I give it to him. I'll do the same thing. So the journey knows that. Now let's continue with the letter. So they address it to the Oba of Benin, the Royal Majesty Oba Edo Oku Apolopolo Oba Iwere to Your Majesty. Now let's get into the content of the letter. Letter. So those two people like and share before we chigaba. Anyway, introduction to the letter. They say introduction of the Edo State Iyeki elect. Iyeki elect, Pastor Mrs. Josephine Esi Igbagweze. I mean Igbagweze. Let's pretend that I didn't bother that last word name. Anyway, but what I like her. I like this Iyaloja of a lady, of a woman. This Tinubu's daughter. I think she's a true daughter of a father. It's not that. I mean, I won't say she's bold. So daughter of a president. I mean, you know, everything is you're pretty much the whole country is your playground, right? But for her to pick a pastor, for her to pick a pastor. Now, I mean, it's funny because this is a Muslim ticket. which happens that the first lady is a pastor. So for Iyaloja to not just say, okay, yeah, this is a traditional role to which the Oba emphasized on, she went ahead and picked a pastor. So she's trying to kill two birds with one stone. Now, picking a pastor to lead the market women, give her leverage over the market women to some extent. I mean, let's say everything stands as it is, which I believe it will, or maybe not the president will change, but however they do it, loyalty to the first lady, to the Iyaloja, it can be debated, but it's nothing that we cannot say it's not going to be there. But that's by the side. But then on the other hand, she's also aiming at the church women. How do you beat that? That's a move that we have to give it to her, regardless of her arrogance, regardless of her, I mean, I won't even say arrogance, as I said, this is a matter of life and death for her and her family, right? I will do the same thing. They have to come back second time, so anything by everything, any means possible, if we allow it, by the way. So she's aiming at two constituency with a choice of Iyeke elect, which is Mrs. Josephine. She's aiming at the market women and the church women. You can't beat that. That is not just a market women decision. That's like Harvard like a decision making process that led to that. Anyway, she continues. She said, Your Majesty, my name is Chief Doctor. I like her. She's bold. She's not shying away from whatever that will come out of this. And what a way to put your foot forward, And maybe she has the intention of running for public office. If she's going to run for Senate or House of Rep, I mean, this kind of thing is needed, right? Especially if she's aiming for the number one position one day. Who knows? So she begins with Chief Dr. Mujidat Folashade Tinubu-Ojo. Yeah, all this one. FCIM, whatever that fuck present, so be it. Anyway, the Iyaloja-General of Nigeria. That's bold. I like women. I mean, I like her for the fact that a woman said when she did make this bold move. Because it was in a man, they do all these things. I don't think people will see the whole thing the way it's busy. They will just like this the son Sheyi, who did the same thing but went to universities and it. Of course, at a point, they also have to stand up to his own move. But I think they will succeed from being conscious. But for the fact that Iyaloja, a woman, and she's making this bold move, yeah, you can see that her father did behind her. I don't give a fuck, but I'll give it to her. The boldness, the audacity, the arrogance, however you want to label her, I fuck with it. Right, so Iyaloja-General of Nigeria, because this one will be she's acting to according to that name. Even though that she give it to herself, however that they come to it, but no, it's not in the constitution. Nobody cares outside where she's coming from, but she's putting it forward anyway. So whether I like it or not, in your face, do your worst, right? Anyway, so I like that. And the first daughter of President Bola Tinubu-Ojo. Oh my word. I like that. Whatever Wiki can I can do too. Ask me what it is. He said, with greatest sense of responsibility and uttermost regards to your royal father, to our royal father, His Royal Majesty Oba Enedo Eku Apollo Oba Ewore too. The second, the Oba of Benin. I humbly write to introduce Pastor Mrs. Josephine Essie as the Edo State Iyeki elect. Ah, I like that. I like that. I like how it come across. Because I'm thinking, is there a better way she could have go about it? Right? I don't know. I think this is just the best way to do it. Fuck it. Just go for it. After all, my father is the president. The Oba can only mumble and mumble and mumble, but I have my way. So she recognizing the power of of her father and putting it to use. Hey, I don't blame her, man. It's a system that allow, So I'm with her. I'm with her boldness. I'm with her audacity. I'm with her confidence. I'm with her arrogance. Them the consequences, right? She continues. She said, with the development, it is our responsibility to see the day to day. It's becoming more chemical now, right? So she's also describing she's giving about the job description of her choice. So she said, with the development, it is our responsibility to see the day-to-day affairs of the traders in the states. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that wonderful? So she's coming from, I mean, I'm trying to put myself in her shoe now, coming from the point of ignorance. Oh, just a need for me to institute a structure here. It doesn't matter if there's anything like that exists before. Oh, no. This is a new way of doing things now. We are in charge now, so it has to be done our way. So it doesn't matter if there's a system at play that no. Fuck all that shit. This is how I'm gonna do it, and this is it. That's where she's coming from. Plain ignorance, right? I don't know if there's so and where the boldness, the audacity, the arrogance is where the thing becoming more for me as becoming to admire those moves, it's becoming more sincere as she goes because she's not just backing her thoughts, her words, her letter. She's following through with the physical action. Like, can't make that up, man. That's gangster right there. Ah, that's a leader that is building structure with our own bare hand. So I give it to her first before anything else. That boldness should be recognized. So she continued. So after she done describe the job description of a newly elected Iyeki, She went ahead to say, Your Majesty, I humbly request. How you go say Your Majesty first, then you go to request? It doesn't matter if you look with humble or not. I humbly request. I mean, just literally giving an order. It doesn't matter how you try to phrase it. Just an order. That's crazy. She said, I humbly request that you give your daughter. So patronizing too. Oh. If I be Oba, man. She is funny. So, say, Her Majesty, Your Majesty, I humbly request you give your daughter every necessary backing to succeed in this great. Excuse me, I don't know say the thing. It was just funny like this. And the first time I actually read the letter, I came across it a few minutes before I come online. So that's funny as hell. So she's the necessary to succeed. So this is not negotiable. It's not something you want to say you don't like. I know. I am sending her to you to give her all the resources she needs to succeed. You know, be say when they come ask for your request, your consent, the blessing itself, you can keep it. We don't need your blessing. What we need is that anytime she says this is where you come in to help, you ain't got no choice. You just gotta do it. So that's what that's how I come across. Yeah. Okay. So she says succeed in this humbly and noble and noble assignment. As I look forward to your fatherly blessing for her to be fruitful in a newly assigned responsibility. Ah! Oh wow. It's not enough that you are choosing somebody before the man. You're also actually ordering that he must not fuck around. She has to succeed. If she don't succeed, you are in trouble, Oba. You are in fucking trouble. That's exactly what that part of the whole letter is about. This is it. I've spit it out this is what I want done. And this is how I want it done. And this is who I want it done. And you ain't got a choice than to be there every step of the way if that is what it's going to take to be fruitful, to succeed. Or else, Ooh, I like her, man. Even though maybe she write that, but I think whoever wrote that literally knows how she either talk or how she acts or what she wants. I think that's pretty much what it's about. Why? All right, let's finish it off. Have you done finish? Is that it? Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Man, what a ball. She's bold, man. She is freaking bold. She's bold. So this letter was sent a year before her coming to the palace. Now, knowing all this, that that's exactly what is going to play out. What do you do as a governor? Because right now you are caught in the web. You are expected to play two roles. You are expected to, as a government representative, you have to literally use the instruments of the state government to not just support, to not just legitimize the structure that I'm putting before you. You also have to use the resources of the states to make sure she succeeds. Then, that's one hand. On the other hand, you are expected to not just recognize the traditional institution, but you are expected to also use the state resources to make the structures or the traditional structures also successful. So you are caught in between these two people. What do you do? So Monday Paolo decided to tap into his common sense. So what do I do now? I say, okay. Sit down with the Oba, say, Baba, this is the reality. What do we do? But I said, don't worry. Whatever they said, you should just go ahead and do it. Monday said, all right, Your Majesty, but not before I send her to you, to the palace. Educate her, not just educate her, make her father understand that you know what he's trying to do. So that's pretty much what played out. It's not over. From the Oba speech, you could tell that his emphasis was pretty much on three things. The title is now going to change. It's still going to remain Iyeki. Doesn't matter Iyaloja, Onoja, Okoja. That's, and I think she's ready to choose. What they really want is the structure, how money will flow in and out of the market women, but most importantly, how they coordinate the votes. But Oba was concerned about the name is not going to change. It's going to remain Iyeki. Two, regardless of who you put there, will not doesn't cannot cut ties with the palace. That is a traditional role. That whoever you put there, we have to recognize that role and play. Now, waiting that role did it for a CIA role be that now. Come and give the palace, intimidate the palace, what is going on, who is doing what, who is around that kind of shit. There was any rituals like that. Now, can the Bola Tinubu afford that kind of leakage? When I mean leakage, because you as a market leader, information, if they're disseminating information from the federal level, the next person that will get information directly is you, the market leader. And it might be a message that is not, not required to share it with the king, you know? So how do you navigate that? That's the problem that the next person who's coming as he's going to feel. Whoever that person is, that is coming from the Iyaloja, is coming from the palace. You're also caught in the web now. You have to hand like the government. And I think that's what Obaseki could not understand. And that's why he fell out of the palace. Regardless of the pressure that is coming from outside, when it has to do with the people, especially the inheritance of the palace and the people of Edo, regardless of if all your hands are tied, you gotta find a way first. Let them go talk to the palace. The palace will have their say. They might not have their way, as I said. The political power is trumps every other power in today's world. So let them have their say. But you deny the palace that uh, respect, that privilege, and you expect to get away with it. No, that's not what Monday did. Monday recognized the Oba Palace that regardless of how extra force is coming, I will still respect the palace. Let the palace have the first and the last words. Regardless of if it's going to hold water or not. That only comes from common sense. So to Opaholo Bashas that are falling to the trap, falling to the cheap propaganda that he has disappointed. No, 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 no. They understand the game and they are playing it accordingly. That's the only way to do it. Especially when you know the man who is out to get whatever he wants is desperate. And you don't blame him. Anybody in the Bola position should right position right now will be desperate. So this is what it is. Oh, this is a pastime. I think I saw Shomole the shot for rice. See what if I can bring that up. See what he's talking about. You know, that's my problem. I go again. Yeah. Let's go back to let's see. Yeah, fine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channel Television. I'm Sean here in Abuja. Well, let me begin this evening on a rather positive note. I'm so excited when I see something good and new in our country. No matter what anyone thinks, the good of the Lagos event of the past few days is worth commending. And it may not be a perfect one, but it's a good one and a sign of the greater potentials and possibilities our nation units possess. Lagos, the city that never stops reinventing itself, is once again making global waves, literally. Over 300 visitors from Europe, Asia, and America have converged on Nigeria's commercial capital for the country's first ever electric boat racing championship. A spectacle of speed, sustainability, and global collaboration. The boats, the slick jet-like and powered entirely by electricity, embody a new future for sport and clean energy, one that positions Lagos as a hub for innovation and ecotourism in Africa. It's more than a race on water, it's a race towards a greener tomorrow. From celebrity backers like LeBron James, Rafael Nadal, and Sidalki, the local excitement filling hotels and waterfront cafes is something unbelievable. The impact is already rippling through the Lagos economy. Officials are now saying that it underscores Lagos' growing role in the global conversation on sustainability, tourism, and smart urban living. A vivid demonstration that policy and progress can indeed share the same current. And see the speed there, a lot of people are benefited. And it just reminds me of the sheer amount of revenue that goes into the private pocket during the dirty December. This is yet another feat that both of the federated units need to take the lead. Tourism and entertainment and sport can really be a game changer for revenue generation. Let me allow you to listen to some of the sound. I love water and I love speeding. Those are my friends, though. I love to speed a lot, but then love it. And there you have it. That's the thing happening over the last few days in Lagos. I also saw my very good Chelsea legend, Didier Drogba, at that event. Well, emotions and politics converge in the city of Justice this weekend as President Bola Tinubu paid a solemn visit to Oba State. The president was in the North Central City to attend the burial of Nana leader Iyaloja, the mother of the All Progressives National Chairman, Professor Iyaloja-General. And the message centered on peace, unity, and faith. President Tinubu declared that there is no place for hate in Nigeria. He called on religious leaders and citizens alike to reject division and embrace coexistence, citing his own marriage between a Muslim and a Christian as a testament to harmony in diversity. But the visit has stirred up sharp criticism and political commentary coming from, this time around, a former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, in a strongly worded statement criticizing the president's presence in Plateau, describing it as, quote, a sad reflection of misplaced priorities. Atiku accused the president of failing to visit communities ravaged by violence and of showing, in his words, quote, a disregard for empathy and compassion. Atiku went further to say, quote, even when Tinubu made a symbolic visit to Benue State in June, he never bothered to set foot in Iyaloja, the epicenter of the massacre. Instead, he ended his trip comfortably in Makurdi, turning his back on the people whose tears and blood still stain the soil. Now again, is in Plateau State not to console the bereaved or reassure the broken, but to celebrate and make merry with his party elite while the people mourn. The message could not be clearer. This is a president who would rather feast than feel, a leader who finds a pleasure where the people find pain. End of quote. Those are the words of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Well, so much has happened also over the past week, which I'll be getting my guests to tonight to touch on. This past week, we saw former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, formally unveiling his book, Scars, a story of Boko Haram and the fight against insurgency, an account where we saw ex-presidents Iyaloja-General and Olusegun Obasanjo both stepping forward into the limelight, each offering a stark reckoning with Nigeria's enduring battle against Boko Haram. Jonathan, on one hand, addressing a flurry of controversy, insisting his remark once nominating former President Buhari as a negotiator were grossly misrepresented, and emphasized that his comments were meant to expose the group's manipulative tactics rather than assign blame. Let me allow you to listen to the statement of the former President Iyaloja-General.
People clearly document events so that maybe sometimes when we write our own, we'll borrow from your documentation. And I believe that all the military officers who were involved in this Boko Haram saga should be able to give us information about what the Boko Haram stood for. If it is only about hunger, because we tried different options, I don't need to give a sermon. It will look as if I am trying to defend my own government. That will come up later when we will document, we'll write our books. But I believe we took different options, set different committees. We tried our best within that 5 years that I was there. I believe late Buhari must have tried his best, because one of the committees we set up then, the Boko Haram nominated Buhari to lead their team to negotiate with government. So I was feeling that, if they nominated Buhari to represent them and have a discussions with the government committee, then when Buhari took over, it could have been an easy way to negotiate with them, and they would have handed over their guns, but it was still there till today.
Well, there's been some reactions on the statement, that statement made by former President Iyaloja-General, and the reaction is coming. Well, President Buhari late cannot respond to that, whether or not there is a consequence of him being nominated, according to the account of the former president, to speak on behalf of the Boko Haram insurgents. But the former aide to the late president, Garba Shehu, has responded, and in the statement which he made public on his social media, he says, quote, if this is a campaign statement towards his bid for the presidency in 2027, we want to say to him that, Mr. Jonathan, you are making a false start. Muhammad Yusuf of Abubakar Shekau, the deceased leaders of the Boko Haram terrorist group, never nominated Muhammad Buhari for any such role. In fact, Shekau routinely denounced and threatened Buhari, and their ideologies were in direct opposition. In 2014, Muhammad Buhari escaped a bomb attack on his life by Boko Haram in Kaduna, in which his personal staff suffered various degrees of injury. Those are coming from Garba Shehu. Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, on the other hand, in that same event, that one that the insurgency has grown so deeply entrenched, it is now becoming part of everyday life, and as I urge that Nigeria must adopt fresh, proactive thinking if it's to reclaim control. Take a listen to him.
I'm really grateful.
When in 2011, I went to Maiduguri to try and find out, after Boko Haram has attacked the UN office here in Abuja, if there's Boko Haram, what was it? Who was there? What are the objectives? What do they want? How can we satisfy them? I found, yes, there was Boko Haram. I found they were not really aiming for anything political, nor anything seriously religious. But in short, we were looking for a better life. And any other thing attached to that is a better life for them. Have we understood that? If we have we taken the steps that we should take? If we have, why are we, after 15 years, Boko Haram is not virtually becoming part of our life? Should we accept that? If we should not accept it, what should we do? How much do we know? Even from the other side and from this side, have we been active enough? Have we been proactive? I think we have to ask ourselves.
And you heard the former presidents. Well, there is a portion of the Jonathan's speech there, which, well, is very interesting, though, talking about the scar that the Boko Haram and the Chibok girls, kidnappers left on him as a person and from a leader. Well, let me first and foremost get my guest on the program. He's back in the spot, like Adams Oshomole, the former Labour leader, turned senator and governor, joins us for an exclusive, well, on one hand, Independence Day conversation, also on Boko Haram to the Dangote refinery labor war, from Atiku's attack on Tinubu to the race for 2027. Shomole tonight will be weighing in on the big issues shaping Nigeria's future. Let me get my guests weighing on these topics. Senator Adams Oshomole, federal lawmaker representing Edo North in the National Senate, former Edo State governor. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight on the program.
Thank you for having me back. Yeah, and the happy anniversary again.
65 years. This is 5 days into the anniversary, but then it's never too late to say happy independence. But let me take you to the very first sunburn, the very first issue I raised, which has to do with what Atiku Abubakar is saying. Why does it look like it is difficult for leaders to empathize, to visit, when some of these issues are hot and people are mourning? And in the same platter said, he said that it doesn't look like President Tinubu has the feelings of Nigerians or the Nigerians at heart. He rather go there to marry and to empathize with them.
Well, I think you should. I have sympathy for former Vice President Atiku for thinking that even in matters of death and honoring or paying respect to the dead, that all these issues have to be politicized. I think as an elder statesman, even at his age, he should know a lot better. Nobody can accuse President Tinubu of being insensitive merely by reason of the fact that he went to pay his respect to the mother, last respect to the mother of APC chairman. As I tell the for her. So if the president goes to pay condolence visits and all of that with ordinary Nigerian, what is the issue? How does that? Is it either you do this or you don't do this? And this was even a weekend. You know, I have had this privilege of being more or less the one-man opposition when Atiku was vice president. And they forget in a hurry some of the things they did when he was vice president, or that President Obasanjo. You know, and talking about this debt, which is a continuation of the Boko Haram that developed while Atiku Abubakar was vice president and Obasanjo was president. So it's a question of picking and choosing, and for them rather than deal with the substantial issues of alternative policy choices for Nigerians to decide, they seek to trivialize politics by going into ridiculous arguments about temple or like of party. Out of the fact that the president attended a church service of a departed mother of a Nigerian become evidence that he has no empathy for people who are killed. I have sympathy for Atiku for this because he has allowed himself to be consumed, by politics. Everything is seen in the eyes of partisan, but I think it should be more than that. You should find space for such statements.
But don't you think that there is some kind of sense if you look at it, what Atiku Abubakar is making? When they say he said that the president could even go to Yawata where the attack happened. The president only stopped in Macaulay. He said that the president couldn't even visit Plateau State when people were killed, and that is only when the death affects a member of his party. That's when the president the empathy. And there are those who will ask the question as a leader. Maybe there's a need to get on the ground as a show of empathy to those who are mourning, especially when attacks are coming on innocent Nigerians.
So don't let us waste too much time on this idle distraction. President went to Benue. He acknowledged. He went to Benue to celebrate Christmas. He went to Benue to celebrate birthday. It is customary to go to any state and commiserate with the governor that represents the collective spirit of the people of that state. So he has to go to the particular location. This case of the mother of APC, did he went to the village where the woman was born, or where the woman is going to be buried? So, but this should not be a matter for national.
In terms of governance,
please.
When people when people are involved.
Can you allow me to finish? If you say that he didn't even care, but you say he went to Benue. So, how many times did Atiku visit Maiduguri? You remember the killing of I forgot his name now. This guy who was even at one time who was a commissioner in one of the governments in Maiduguri. How many times did they go there? I remember, as governor of Edo State, we decided to go to Maiduguri because no PDP president minister was going to go there. So this people should talk as if they don't have history. So let's discuss what for me makes sense to the average Nigerian. I don't think Nigerians are about why should president pay a condolence visit, and that stopped him on a Saturday from doing or attending to other state matters.
Let me take it.
I don't think it's about misplacement of priorities. No, I don't think so.
But what if some Nigerians feel otherwise?
Excuse me, in country over 200 million people, shocked if everybody feel the same way. And I've done don't suggest that Atiku's views represent the views of Nigerians. I'm a Nigerian, I don't hold those views.
But what
and I read extensively. I haven't seen very ordinary people. I haven't seen very ordinary people, whether in Plateau or in Benue, expressing these sentiments. Or I wish you were quoting someone who has a level of representation, not a man who has been serially defeated in presidential elections and who think that it's better right to be.
It looks like some of you in APC are still worried and afraid of it. Can you be the major political factor?
Can you be worried over a rabbit that you have chased out of his hole a million times? How?
It was one
of the rabbits that was in the PDP hole. He faced some smoke within the PDP. He left. He was accommodated in APC. He failed. He went back to PDP. How can you be afraid of a serious failure? How?
Because
I watched another news about who has accomplished. He's a frustrated vice president. I'm sorry that I have to use this word. Because how do you describe a vice president who, as a city president, went out of his party, the camp, and this man had to go to Supreme Court, whether a vice president who was the camp carried the seat, because the same court tells us that this one ticket. So his own addition to legal duties. Another thing, I'm not a lawyer. So I believe with you. Big issues of people who can be said not to be, if their views are not influenced by political frustration or unsustainable political ambition.
The feeling, and you're not the only APC member that I speak to or a leader in the APC that feels some kind of vehemence in their voice when Atiku's matter comes up. Especially when there are those who feel that if there is a pairing of an Atiku and a Peter Obi, your government of APC and your party is in trouble, and the return might evidently be a mirage.
But this is your problem. You know you are one of these most seasoned team vehicles. How can you so easily get your recent history? I can pay back your comment when this you are talking about something new. People know that to be before. And contesting against APC. Is it not different?
Is it different?
I don't know about what the difference. So
with about 6 million votes.
Excuse me.
Obi.
So any number you want to throw. But the point is that when these two ran together, they were already defeated by APC. So why are you suggesting if the two that when they did before, what happened? So you are the one who is recycling history. They have a history of being defeated together, and they have a history of being defeated apart. They ran together, they were defeated. They ran separately, they were defeated. So if they come back together, very good. They will still be defeated.
The scenarios are different.
Because what is
just remember.
You see,
2015. Just remember.
So I have to be careful not to
There are trends. No, there are trends in political dynamics. In 2015, the vote of your candidate was different from 2019. He got a lesser full vote in 2019. It's still the same candidate. It's still Muhammad Buhari.
That's not correct. Now I got you here. I can put the Buhari for you. Buhari had 3 million more votes because I was the chairman by 2019. Check the figures. Buhari had 3 million more votes than run out. So that's correct.
Your party got lesser vote.
Wait,
just a moment. 2023, your party has less.
Different.
Okay, go ahead.
If your argument is based on the fact that situations are dynamic, that dynamic is restricted to opposition, is not also valid for the government of the day.
But look at what
the forces. Excuse me.
Look at what the party got in 2023.
Wait. I have had many things. By 2018, how many governors did the APC have? By 2023, how many governors did we have? How many governors did we have in ASEAN? I was the only non-PDP governor in the South by 2012 to 2016 when I left office. What is it today? So that dynamism does suggest as if it favors voting. I think it's now more battle weary. When you don't forget my background is textile I come to. When a fabric is weak and you keep sewing it, at a point it makes sense to throw it away.
How does that
this man you are worrying about that you're wasting precious airtime. It's not delicable. People with two addresses after election, you go to the leave of election, you go to find out who is paying visit to a belief family. This is, you have trivialized.
But there's one person that you also respect his voice. You belong to an unofficial association. And that's your fine. That man has warned you and your party. I tell you,
want me?
I mean, I'm talking about APC. I tell you,
your party is APC.
Yes, he's in APC.
Oh, I see.
That's your fine. Yes. Former governor of Kaduna.
Okay.
You're a very good friend.
Very good. Yes.
He's left. And he said that in 2027, that APC and Bola Tinubu should start packing their things after presidential. And they will send the president back to Lagos.
It's okay. It's okay. So that would be nice. The president doesn't need to pay for any effort to go to Lagos. You put him on his back. Or you also have to put play back what everybody had said about Atiku Abubakar. This is a prophet, whenever he had prophesied about Atiku Abubakar. And what he has said to PDP and all the other political parties. What he has said about all manners also, leave that one.
Let me take you to this.
Now I need to remind you that we didn't win Kaduna in other areas. We didn't win Kaduna. As far as we lost Lagos, we didn't win Kaduna. Yeah. So and yet we won. Yes, we won. This time around, what gives you the assurance that there is a possibility that APC has a chance? You know, people like us. First, I live in Kaduna, make Kaduna die. But let me say I'm a Kaduna boy. And very soon I'm going to Kaduna to attend one function. As a Kaduna boy, it's easy to hear from the street that the major issue that has bogged down Kaduna development for a long time, namely the semi division which politicians have exploited between Southern Kaduna and Northern Kaduna. The new governor has woven them together. He has shown that the Muslims are associated with Christians by leading by example. Right? And Christians have shown that Muslims have also shown that they can be at peace with Christians, but it's sort of they do now in Kaduna. Kaduna has returned to peace. Those religious bigots, they are retreating, and they also begin to enjoy the benefit of increasingly unified state. I watched from Channel how many people were being killed in Kaduna. From you were hosting people to explain Kaduna, the capital of former Northern Nigeria, a peaceful city. We used to call it a normal where there's no emir, no bad, no nothing. It's almost suddenly became what it became, even when my dear friend was there. But the good narrative now is that this is peaceful. So happy doesn't mean that
because you are one of those who a lot of energy speak about your party on the podium during the campaign. But I'm wondering what you'll be telling Nigerians this time around. Because based on what
let me tell you
what they're facing right now, they renewed hope that
what are they facing right now?
Are they saying it?
Okay, yes, they are. You need to change your lesson. You know, I found that last time I went to see my doctor. He told me that my eyes are red. I don't need to wear the same specification. So the last time I was here, just before last December, you told me about Nigerians are suffering price of things you should play back. You accuse the current government, which I am a part of, because I'm in the National Assembly and I'm APC man, that price of rice is now above minimum wage. You said so. Today, price of rice in minimum wage can almost buy in Imo State 2 bags. From over 105,000 and I bought. Now I can buy for 50,000. You are not seeing that, take the lessons.
I've actually
number two.
I've actually
number two. Yeah. You just repeating. Or the Tinubu Zoom office. Many Nigerian children who are talented because of the economic circumstances of their parents, they have admission to university, they could go. Or if when they drop out, the people has but not to do with the venture because all over the world, this is the way society balance. You know, the gap between the rich and the poor by introducing a facility called student loan. It is accessible by all manners of students across the length and breadth of Nigeria. We are not seeing that. Now, in my part of the state, I could not travel from Benin to my village. Sometimes it takes 8 hours because the roads are impassable. I was watching sometimes on your television how trailers fell and people are swimming in the pool. Those roads are being fixed. If you are not seeing that, change your lenses. I could go on and on and on. If you had told me you want to discuss what has changed, the renewed hope, I would have mentioned this.
Because
number 3, let me
of Bola Tinubu.
Oh, yeah.
So because that
I have been there.
Yeah. So
we did from AC to ACN to APC and to be. In fact, I copied Lagos when I was governor, and I never hit it. I said I copied shamelessly without people acknowledging. Because when I see what works, I copy.
So the reason I'm saying that is that I wonder what should be wearing if Nigerians reject your party. And that's why it's not me to be convinced, it's the Nigerian people that you and your party need to convince.
You are not talking as if the dress you wear is like the way the color of a goat or a sheep that you cannot change. When I was removed as national chairman, did you see me cry? Did you see me change my uniform? Did you see me lose faith in APC? Did you see me organize the press conference to denounce APC? People must have a broader mind. I am not an opportunity supporter. Once you submit to content, there's a place I made a statement. People try to twist it. Now we speak slowly. Any one of us who is in politics, in a truly democratic setting, one of the things you must be ready to live with is either to celebrate the joy of victory, but also the disappointment arising from defeat. And of this article can be write a lecture. And I know I think to be now can write 1 or 2 pages too. This is so far to defeat. So we are saying if we do the fair, I will get it. The first time I wore Babariga was Asiwaju Aside was because my leader. Was in Lagos when now the first lady said, "Come, Shokaki will not work here. We are doing Mr. President, but the day was the president." And I wore the this time I see Babariga just reminded me. So I am not an opportunistic. I will wear this cap, but in victory. You know why? Because if you understand the forces that were deliberately deployed to make APC unelectable, bastardize the economy, change currencies, confiscated the property of Nigerians, who mostly the poor who don't even have bank account. We have 774 local governments. About half of those local governments don't have banks, and yet we were told if you don't have money in the bank, it's confiscated. And I can pay back what I said then with the former president in office. That we think that money would come valid. Today it's valid. So yeah, that money is still circulating. So number 4. Let me see what big thing that I achieved that you must not play. We were in a country where he shame you, the CBA governor, or he chooses to smile at you. You can become another trillionaire or a dollar millionaire. For President Tinubu to come in and say no dual exchange anymore, where you buy the money for CBN, you recycle to Aboki in the evening, you become real rich. The courage to do that without saying, you know what, let me first benefit for a month or 2 or for 1 year, then I will change it. From the one, he got enough. Even this is something the people talk about. If you know how much money people appropriated in the name of subsidy, you don't forget, I was one of those who fought against subsidy consistently. But at the point when I ran the numbers, I realized that people were now stealing in the name of subsidy. President also decided to continue with that tradition. You know, make some money from the process, and okay, tomorrow we stop it. So how can you not see this? If you don't see this, change your. If you already have for, give me another one.
Give me a moment then. Well, we have a snapshot, of course, which we have reported. The good that we want is things to get better for the Nigerian people. Let me quickly show you what it looked like about before the president got into office, and also what it looked like before he got into office, when he got into office, and now. And you can see the improvement on some food items, and like rice, for example, 5,000 before he got into office. A year ago it was 96,000, but it's come to 70,000. That's 50 kg in some part of the country. Beans, for example, this was the price by 30,000. It went as high as 137,000 about a year ago. A year later, the price has dropped. Palm oil, I don't know what is happening with palm oil. 25 liters, the price seems to be going up instead of going down. Flour, the same thing. There hasn't been a significant change in the price compared to when things went really last year. Cement, crates of eggs, and these are the situation of things which we're monitoring and reporting to Nigeria. So we need to take a break at one. Up next is the APC losing grip or simply weathering the storm? 65 years after independence, what kind of nation are we becoming? Senator Adams Oshema, the former governor of Edo State, is still with us on the program. We'll be right back on the conversation. Let's get back to the conversation with the former governor of Edo State and former NLC leader sitting senator representing Edo North Senatorial District in the Senate. Senator Adams Oshema is still with us. I was former national chairman of the governing party, and I led my party to victory. Okay, yeah. 2019. Well, yeah, that's I don't remember of the car because there is. And that's where a Baptist too. But you're Baptist. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So those people who follow Bola Tinubu, they're called Baptist. Fully baptified. You're baptified. Interesting. Let me take you to my issue of security. Right. So you saw the account of the former president. Former President Iyaloja-General said the scar of those Chibok girls will never leave him. And you saw what former President Olusegun Obasanjo also said, and some of the accounts. In fact, Buhari's aide has come to say, no, you're wrong. Buhari was not in any way linked to Boko Haram. But some of the lesson is what I like to get your views on. Over the years, fighting Boko Haram, and you hear some of these leaders speak about it. What do you think that we need to take out of it to really end this scourge?
No, I know this is exactly the issues I would have about my mind to. But my first reaction was scars from Boko Haram. No, even the title for me is a problem. You know why? You talk of scars from a battle that has ended. I see, really ended. I said, okay. It will have been scars if a battle has ended. If you fought or you are fighting and the fight ended, you were defeated when and then they heal, you have scars. Or not when the fight is still raging. I think it's too early to talk about scars. Because as we speak, we are still back in it. Not really that other various forms of security we are dealing with. But as for some of the statement made, what the only thing I don't understand is that why these former chief of state, former commanders, chief which president represent, why it's only now I realize that they had meetings with Boko Haram leaders, according to President Obasanjo, that their demise were basically not religious as such, not political as such. It was basically about hunger. So really, I thought this is something he should have shared with his party at that time. He was the lawyer party man and Boko Haram. Remember, no matter how you preach history, that Boko Haram developed under Obasanjo leadership. Under Iyaloja, actually. No. Under Obasanjo. It was under Iyaloja. No. It depends on the scale you are talking about. When he started, is that a remote scale? I forgot the name of this guy. Is it Yusuf? Yeah, Muhammad Yusuf. Yeah, that of under Alimadu Sharif when he was governor. Okay. It was at the twilight of at that time. Alimadu Sharif was governor. In Obasanjo was president in Abuja. Yeah. Boko Haram's record is not 2009. Was president. President Obasanjo was there when Boko Haram started. That is the truth. From the record at the timeline, that those when you started 2009 was actually the mark in which you can mark in the Boko Haram. I don't know when the particular incident occurred, when there was a breakout. And then there was something about somebody who was a commissioner and stuff like that. But my report is this. If leaders is a former commanders in chief of the office, I've had the opportunity to interact with Boko Haram leaders. Why are we searching for them? They know them. What did they do with the information? They didn't need to wait for, in my opinion, for a book to be published by a former chief of defense staff. Unfortunately, I've not read the book. I don't know what his own account is, because his mandate as chief of defense staff was to terminate Boko Haram. And a lot of resources have been provided for that. I also witnessed, listened to President Jonathan when he said that he found that the Boko Haram people were more armed, were better armed than the Nigerian army. I'm like, really? What should have been the policy response to that? If as a president I found that the enemy better armed, am I forbidden from acquiring even more sophisticated weapons for the Nigerian armed forces to deal with the ragtag army? My own philosophy is that the leader should join in lamentation, because those who are hit look up to leaders for solution. And leaders then take on to lament. I don't know what they want the followers to do. I think as a former commander-in-chief, they've got to be very careful about what they say. Now, we say that Buhari was asked to negotiate, to represent. No, I didn't think this is. Although again he said that's not what he meant. But again, it's a goggle word, and it's very, very difficult to take back what you have said it. But I think for me, leaders should know, because I was watching and I tried to interpret President Obasanjo's constitution. Always about hunger. And that 2011, I was like, who was in office? Who was the president of Nigeria in 2011? Which party? I think that was President Obasanjo's party, the PDP. And the hunger was the reason. And I was like, okay, so this hunger is restricted to that part of the country. There is no hunger in Abeokuta, there's no hunger in Edo, there's no hunger in Kano, there's no hunger in Bauchi. If hunger is it, what is the peculiarity of that hunger? That the thing started in that area and persisted in that area. Well, but if you say that what you were told, my was that so our leaders know these people, the leaders of these people, and they even give them in conversation, and then we are looking for them. So I don't know. I'm able to read the book, so I can
I'm particularly worried at the narrative about the seeming lethargy when the Chibok girls were kidnapped, and how politics played a role. Those who had that if politics had not played a role and the lethargy had not stepped in, perhaps the regret that we're having today, some of the manner we think we're handled. In fact, your party at the time was accused of using that scenario against the government of the day to get them out of power. Those is both in the manner in which politics is often used in the case of insecurity in this country. I think I'm also bothered by the way the press didn't buy to it without scrutinizing, because my understanding is that your business is not only to convey. You are not just a conveyor of it. You have to evaluate, educate, inform, and even correct mischiefs. If you hold the view that the Chibok girl was a farce, that nobody was abducted, then it was a political thing. It is well established now that it was a fact. But it took, unfortunately, and I sympathize with President Jonathan when he said it's a sky. It truly is, because it took PDP government under Jonathan 2 weeks to acknowledge. I think at the point, the first lady has to take it upon herself to invite the principal to say, really, what happened in your school? People to the eyes later. But I saw a woman that was really concerned. Did this happen? And I can tell you for free, I was privileged to be in the delegation of President Muhammad Buhari to the White House under President Obama. And one of the things Obama said to us then was that incident, not the fact that 200 children were kidnapped from school, that was, according to him, like a bullet to the heart of the international community. But even more painful was that, to use this word, Abuja seemed to be unaware that this happened. And there was a level of denial that nothing went wrong, just political talk. Everybody know that this was a fact. And so Washington came to the conclusion that there was no authority in Nigeria to talk to. And so they just felt there was no governance in Nigeria. This was Obama's word. The other vice president was in that delegation. He had confirmed what I said. And President Tinubu and Obama went up to say, now, it's you, President Tinubu, check like a man of integrity and medical right to now do business with Nigeria.
etc. But the point is that don't say it was a political. If people were actually kidnapped, should we not speak to it? And at that time, this has not got it to this point. You know, so I don't think it's all about politics. Some of the people have been released. So I think probably, I'm not sure of the time now, whether release that Jonathan or that Buhari and so on. But one after the other, one is released today, two are released tomorrow, and so on and so forth. But the point is that I believe, having been a governor, no leader will be happy to have a situation in which any of his citizens is forcefully taken away or kidnapped or dehumanized in any way. No, it cannot be something that any leader. Yeah.
I'm just another break. But when we come back, we have our concluding moments with Governor Shamali. We'll be right back. Thank you, everyone. Let me allow my guest 60 seconds of his commentary and we close. Those who say, if Goodluck Jonathan gets into the race, your party is in trouble.
Well, you know, people like to talk about party being in trouble, but let me comment on one thing. I think it's statement by Shehu Garuba. It has some merit. The body is no more. It wasn't fair for the statement that Jonathan made. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. Now, how can Jonathan be a threat? We defeated him before when PDP was truly PDP.
But he's having a lot of swelling.
Oh, let's divide the word of support. Everybody has support. You don't have support. All it takes for me to do the face card for you and get one or two people to speak. If a man had a PDP at best, at his peak, and he was defeated, I think only his enemy will push him to go into the race. There are other issues that may not be helpful to him. I think he has managed to demonstrate that out of power, you can be relevant and be at peace. If I were able to advise him, I will say, sir, maintain this status. Govern for 80, you don't have to govern for 9 years. Right? Out of 250 million Nigerians. And looking at how he ascended to that office. If I were him, I would spend the rest of my life trying to find relevance, which he has already found, and speaking, because that preceded defeat. And that is memorable quote about my blood. Sorry, in Nigeria is not was also. You should just allow those legacy to treat. So, but we defeat him if he comes out. Flatly. Very flatly. So now, the South South are no longer PDP. So where is he going to start from?
Adam, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. That's for tonight, everyone. Man, thanks for watching. I'm Shion Akimale. God bless Nigeria.
And so let's, with our conversation this time around, we're expanding the horizon, looking at politics at the national level, and with many implications, particularly for 2027. And joining us for this conversation is Senator Victor Ume. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio.
Thank you
for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's start from the federal capital before we begin to look at politics at the state or at the national. All eyes are on the National Assembly, especially with events in the last couple of months. The activism towards securing the gender bill in a good place before it gets to the state. There's also constitutional review conversation. So what are we to expect from the Senate as the National Assembly resumes tomorrow, and which of the bills will the Senate be giving priority?
Well, the Senate and the National Assembly at large will be doing the jobs assigned to by the Constitution. If there are any bills before the National Assembly, you can be sure that those bills be most patriotically debated in the national interest. So most times people want to give directives to the National Assembly. We are the representatives of the people, and we know what the country needs because we are in touch with the people. Any bill that is before us that is desirable with a view to promoting national integration or development, the National Assembly will patriotically deal with it. So I would say that the people will expect everything. Because once we are properly controlled to work, we cannot avoid discussing anything of national interest. So what is important is that if there are things before us and anybody has interest in them, they have to prepare. Lawmaking is a collective process. The Senate or the National Assembly will not pass any bill without subjecting it to public hearing. So if you have any strong points for or against the bill, you make use of the public hearing. That's why you come and make your point. The National Assembly, of course, will look at the points made in the national public hearing and graph them into the decision they will make. To be able to say, we agree with this or we don't agree with this.
All right. There's one that is a major talking point, and for good reason, because of the standoff between the Senate leadership and Senator Representative Kogi Central. If we have time, we're going to explore that part of the conversation later on. But let's quickly get to this one, which was also of huge concern over the past 2 weeks in Lagos. The demolition of trade fair structures, of structures at the trade fair, for which interpretations have been given that, business interests of Igbo extraction are being targeted. And we had this conversation with the Commission for Physical Planning in Lagos towards the end of last week. And the explanation was provided to the effect that there is nothing of the sort, that your principal, and former governor of your state, Mr. Peter, was only trying to whip up sentiment that if you went to trade fair, some of the structures were actually in serious breach of physical planning rules. How satisfactory is the explanation of the Lagos State government to its activities at the trade fair, to you and indeed to the Labour Party?
Well, it's not a party issue. It's about dealing with human beings with a consideration of the law. The country is governed by the Constitution and the set of laws. I'm disappointed to hear that the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos State came to you to justify her illegal action. The Constitution is very clear on what constitutes a breach of the law. And for you to hold somebody in breach of the law, you must be acting in accordance with the law. One, the trade fair complex in Lagos is the subject matter, where the Lagos State government moved in with heavy machines we've shown on this screen now, to go and destroy people's investments and buildings without any justification. Trade fair complex is a federal establishment, and the Commission for Physical Planning knows that federal lands are under the control of the agencies of federal government, not state government. There are federal lands, there are state lands. If you go to Lagos now, or any part of Lagos, any property that belongs to the federal government, you go to the federal land registry in Ikoyi to ascertain the title of that property. You don't go to Alausa, land registry in Alausa. In other words, there are clear demarcations of jurisdiction between federal lands and state lands. And I speak to you from the position of authority. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer. I'm very vast in land matters. I'm a fellow of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors and Valuers. What the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos did was a breach of the law. The people who manage the trade fair complex are people in the trade fair management board. It has the board has a CEO and executive director. And for the fiscal commissioner to say that they went there to enforce law, she's been economical with the truth. They've never gone to the
commissioner is a he, by the way, but
is it he or she?
He, yeah.
But
he's also saying that that's the jurisdiction is still an area, sort of conversations are still being had. But he also went ahead to say that even if you said that the original structures that were there from the 70s are under the federal government, that the entrepreneurs that are beginning to build on lands that have not been occupied, and that land is under their own jurisdiction as the Lagos State government. How do you respond to that?
Please, the traffic complex is not in the moon. It's in Lagos. If you go there, it is a space that is clearly defined. And Lagos State government has never gone there to do anything, either to collect property rates or ground rent or anything, or grant approval for any development taking place in the traffic complex. It is the traffic management board that has been doing all this until they moved in about 2 weeks ago to bring down the buildings on the 25th of September. They have never done there before in all the years gone by. So it's not a place they've been exercising authority over, oversight function or anything over the years. The entrance into that place today was an intrusion. And if you speak to the executive director or CEO of the Trade Management Board, you get the fact. They were also shocked. The board was also shocked that the Lagos State government can move into that place without telling them. Even traders themselves were not given any notice. They were not written. They were not questioned over anything. What I read in the papers were that the buildings were on canals and drainages. People were building, without approval. That is not true. All those buildings that you saw erected there were approved by the management board.
You went there with
yes,
to be alongside other senators.
Yes.
And you didn't see structures that were, built without compliance with building rules. You've said that you're
yes.
The commission said that those structures were built on canals. They were in serious breach of,
I don't know who it is.
And as such, they should take responsibility for it because, there are disasters waiting to happen. Sure, you cannot ignore that part.
No. You're believing him. You have not gone there. I have gone there. The reason why we went to look at the demolitions, one was to ascertain the veracity of the claim that the buildings were on drainage panels or, places they are not supposed to build anything. And when we got there, we went around the whole place. No building was standing on a canal or on a drainage channel. It's the same thing what they did when they went into Abledo in Lagos and decided demolition buildings. When the place is in the hands of the Federal Housing Authority, not Lagos State government. So when they want to act, they act knowing deliberately that they're doing the wrong thing, and come back and tell a lie that the buildings were standing, drainage channels and roads. And when they thought that Abledo happened, I had to go to, I'm the Vice Chairman Senate Committee on Housing and Urban Development. I had to prevail on the Federal Housing Authority to oblige an investigation of what happened. And when the demolitions were going on, I had to speak to the then MD of Federal Housing Authority, Senator Wengasha, and he immediately halted the demolitions and allowed space for findings to be made. And the process of getting that done, another MD came in, the people that is there now. And patriotically, he agreed with me that you cannot demolish people, that's what I say, demolish people's buildings. Let us go there. So on the 25th of January this year, I had to go to that Abledo with the MD of the Federal Housing Authority, Honorable Folashade Tinubu-Ojo. We got there. We went around 2.5 hours in that estate. We don't know what happened. Not one building was standing on the canal or on the road. And the tent And he was surprised that he said, "You people told me that these buildings were standing on Canada. So where are they now?" He moved in, he has resolved issues and regularized that place. So this one they went to the trade fair complex where they have no business to go into, and he's saying that the buildings are standing on Canada. You go tomorrow, the buildings are there, that are not movable. If you go, you see for yourselves that the buildings are standing clearly out of the Canada. There was wax, you know. So it is a deliberate act to intimidate the people, which I don't want to accept. We have alluded to it in your opening statement that Igbos are being targeted. I don't want to see it that way. I want to see it as the authority not doing the right thing. And that's my constitution. I came here with constitution. I want to read the line for you.
Okay.
I want to read the line for you. Yes.
Also has some questions for you.
Yes, I want to read the line for you. It says here, chapter 2 of this constitution defines how we live together in Nigeria. Chapter 2 and chapter 3. But if you come to chapter 2, 15 3b, it says, it is the duty of the state to secure full resident rights for every citizen in all parts of the federation. In other words, everybody is entitled to live anywhere he likes in Nigeria, guaranteed by this constitution. So this idea of Igbos and Lagos, they should go home and all that, go to a place, it's baseless. So you treat people with regard to the law. If you go there again, you see where it says that government actions shall be humane. Government actions. So you see a building that is standing, people are doing business, you move in, caterpillar and all that, you pull down the building and go away. What are they done since they left? Since they left, they have nothing to enforce.
So it's suffice to say at this point that we haven't believed any narrative. We're just capturing all sides of the story, capturing effectively a position of the Lagos State government. But I'm sure Lagos has some questions for you. Over to you, Kyrie.
I'm hearing you. Yes.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right. So I was saying that this Lagos is a Lagos studio, not Lagos State government. But you know, we had the commissioner seated right here in the studio. First, he said that this is not targeting the Igbos, that anybody is welcome, that the constitution is clear about that. So he said as much right here in our studio, because that was one of the questions we put to him. But he also said that plans must be approved by the Lagos State government if you want to place anything on land in Lagos State. What do you have to say to that about getting approval for a plan for a building? Who should give that approval?
Yes, every agency of government that is vested with right to administer interest in land will have approving authorities. It is not confined to Lagos State because it's Lagos State. The federal agencies of government, like in this case, the trade fair complex, they've been approving drawings. If you ask the commissioner sitting with you, ask him when have they approved a drawing for building development in that trade fair complex. When have they done it once? They've never done it. All these approvals have been given by the Trade Fair Management Board. They approve these drawings and give leases to people who develop properties there. They don't go to Lagos State government to get drawing approvals. And I'm asking him, let him tell you, when have they given approval for one building to be constructed in that place in 1995? Over 30 years. They've never done that. So it is just yesterday that they woke up and went and brought the buildings down, claiming that there were no building approvals. The H8 or the trade fair complex has existed over 30 years. And Lagos State government has not been given approvals to developments taking place. So this is his own claim, which does not stand. It doesn't hold water. So that land does not belong to Lagos State government.
So are you
we have state land. They have their prime authority.
Right. Are you by effect or in essence saying that they have maybe deleted their duty because it's the understanding is that there is concurrent jurisdiction. It's federally owned, but it's also a state. So there's concurrent jurisdiction, perhaps in the area of physical planning, urban development, building regulation. So are you saying that over time they have neglected their role, their functions, and now they just all of a woke up to that role. Is that what you're saying?
No, they didn't have the role at all. Ab initio. So it's not about the direction of duty, because they clearly know that they have no jurisdiction over that land. That's why we have every state in the Federation of Nigeria, you have federal lands. They do have an state and so on and so forth. And the state government do not go there. They don't interfere. The Federal Housing Authority has their own locations everywhere in the state of the Federation. They are tied with the responsibility of due management and administration of those federal lands. So the state government cannot go in. They don't have concurrent jurisdiction because it is clearly separated and defined. The lands that Lagos State that are not federal lands are vested on the governor of Lagos State. And when the lands that do not belong to Lagos State are federal lands, you don't exercise any jurisdiction over it. It's as simple as that. Because if they had that jurisdiction or role to exercise over the years, they would have been doing these things as a matter of routine and responsibility. They've never given any approval to anybody over 30 years. And this thing they are doing to these traders is because they think they can intimidate them. They cannot intimidate them. They have rights to be what they are, doing lawful businesses, and go to that place. These people have contributed so much to the development of Lagos. The same people who destroy their buildings, their businesses, are the people who are keeping the ports busy. They are the people who bring goods from all over the world, clear them in the ports in Lagos, and they continue chasing them around. When they move their goods on the roads, you go and hold them in the roads and place all kinds of roadblocks for them, sometimes 50, before you go between one location and another. Right. So you have to allow them. And like I said, the constitution says government actions must be humane. If you want to say that there is something somebody has done that infringe the law, you give him notice.
Well, the commissioner
give notice, give warning, and call the person, and tell this is what you have done. They didn't do anything because they have no right to do so. The place doesn't belong to them. It's a federal land. Well, they don't have jurisdiction over it.
Senator, the commissioner also said that they had given notice. There was mixed messages in that sense. Because the trader said they had gone to give notice, but some of their officials were harassed and all of that.
Let me tell you, we're all Nigerians.
I know.
And when I come here, I'm not coming here to be bullied with lies. Because the man there knows that they are not given one approval for any development to take place in a trade complex.
Right.
Let him bring one drawing they have approved in the past 30 years.
Well, that's a fair point, Senator. I'm just
in the morning trying to intimidate people.
Right.
They cannot do that.
All I'm doing is representing the comments he made. Perhaps you missed it. I'm just representing the comments he made right here.
I'm not seeing his face. I want to see his face.
It's on our YouTube page. You can watch that. No, Senator, this is the question.
You cannot hide.
Right. This is the question. This is a question I want to ask. By the way, the interview was last week. You know, we're meant to have you, but we couldn't have you. It was last week, Friday. But here's my question. A lot of people who also saw the visit by Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi, yourself, and Senator Barbe, as well, could be interpreted as provocative in that sense. Why not visit the governor? Why not visit the governor? Some people have said so it can be resolved at that level. So maybe you speak to the rationale. Why to reach the governor? Was he unreachable? And for those who are maybe interpreting this as possibly provocative, what do you say to them?
No, they should not leave the substance and begin to chase shadow. People are doing their lawful businesses and they moved in with machines to bring their buildings down, destroy their shops with the goods in them. And it was shown on television, everybody saw it. We had to go there. Myself and my state surveyor, and I told you, I knew that Lagos government was acting wrongly and against the law. So when we saw it, we are the representatives of the people. Over 70% of the people in that place are our people. And we cannot go and bully them and intimidate them and abandon them. Mr. Peter was one of the developers of that trade complex, if you don't know.
So
he has a plaza there. He has a plaza there. Over 200 shops, far back in 1995. So, and he's a patron of the place. All the associations there is the patron. So he cannot see that, and people call him that they're being dealt with against the provisions of the law. Want him to start running around to start looking for governor of Lagos State. So if land belongs to Lagos State government, yes, the place to go would be to interface with the agents of government of Lagos. But they don't own the land. Land doesn't belong to them. They acted illegally. How can you now begin to tell somebody that is acting illegally and provocatively when you are completely in breach and you know that the land does not belong to you and you know that you have not exercising oversight over that estate?
So why is the Federal Housing Authority, why is the Federal Housing Authority, the voice of the Federal Housing Authority, visibly absent amongst, amid this conversation? We've heard the Lagos State government, we've heard the CEO of the Trade Fair Complex, but the authority that you and the CEO, the entrepreneurs in Trade Fair are claiming to have jurisdiction, they're not speaking.
Well, maybe you have to go and ask them why they're not speaking. But Trade Fair Complex does not belong to the Federal Housing Authority. This place is under the purview of the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, that the people managing the Trade Fair Complex. The Federal Housing Authority is overseeing residential estates like First Town and rest of it.
Or the Ministry of Commerce.
Or the Ministry of Commerce, So the truth is that sometimes when something happens, you begin to look much more deeply to know what is happening. I consider this action as unnecessary aggression against the people in Lagos. Demolitions are going on not only in the Trade Fair Complex. I've told you about Tabula, even though it was maturely handled by the managing director of the Federal Housing Authority because of my intervention. Demolitions are going everywhere, and Lekki, you see it every day. How can government be sleeping? People will now go and develop magnificent buildings, and you go and destroy them because you are the authority. Even if you have the right, government say that the constitution says that government actions should be humane. Government actions should be humane.
What do you say from a bigger picture? What do you say to people who say, you cannot just go to land also to buy land? That in fact, non-indigenous hardly own land in land because of culture, and other related issues. What do you say to that? That they are overstepping the bounds in Lagos.
That is fallacy. Anybody who wants to buy land in Igbo land will have access to land. Like these ones in Lagos, people have been buying and developing from the Suenu chieftaincy family and rest of from years ago. The Igbos are commercial people. They are all over the world. They drive commerce in West Africa, in Central Africa, beyond the shores of Nigeria. Asia, everywhere. So,
non-indigenous on a massive scale own land in Igbo land.
If somebody want to buy land, I mean, it's an open market. If you see land to buy and you have money to pay for it, nobody can tell you. I will say to you, it's a question of demand and supply. If you have money to buy land and you export the land, many who have bought lands in Onisha, in Oka, in Enugu, those who are interested. If you are not interested, they will not carry their land and come and give you.
So that must be subjected to some form of empirical study.
Yes.
Lastly,
nobody can deny you.
Lastly, we've seen your principal, Mr. P2B, with former President Goodluck Jonathan, with a lot of speculations about what is exactly happening as far as that meeting is concerned ahead of 2027 presidential election. So, what is the positioning of Mr. P2B? Is he leaving the Labour Party? Is he registering with the ADC? What exactly is the strategy? Or is he working with former President Goodluck Jonathan? In 90 seconds. Because
this question is not well placed. One is you're talking about Mr. P2B and his political interest, what he wants to do. It's all with Jonathan, his friends, and all that. And you want me to answer what they're discussing. One, for me, I didn't come here to discuss politics. What I came here to do is to emphasize the point that Igbos in Lagos should be left alone. They are contributing to the development of Lagos, and they have done that over the years. They contributed to the GDP of this country. About 6.6 trillion naira was collected by the customs in this past 1 year. 6.6 trillion naira. You know those paying those duties. They are Igbos. People bringing these goods from all over the world. You should allow them breathe.
I wanted you to speak to politics, so allow
them to breathe. Allow the boys to breathe. Let them do their business and respect their rights. When one people tell people to go away, it's like one day white people in Abuja will order everybody in Abuja to go back to their states. Everybody will leave Abuja. So we don't promote such in the constitution for visit. So if you see anybody, any citizen of Nigeria, according equal respect, equal rights, equal opportunities, is the framework of this constitution. We both like this constitution. And for them to say that you grant every citizen of Nigeria full resident rights in all parts of the federation, it's because of a thing like this. When somebody starts claiming, after you come to develop his place, to ask you to go.
Thank you so much.
It's very uncharitable.
It was really accurate at this point. Thank you so much.
I like to see him.
He's the senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District and also former chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Of course, is now with the Labour Party. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. I keep doing the good job you are doing here. Let Nigerians always know the truth. Yes, people should act in accordance with the Constitution. Follow the Constitution and the law. And when you cross the line, you are creating problem.
We must go now.
You are creating problem when you cross the line.
We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll talk about the Nigeria Railway Corporation and, of course, the managing director of the corporation joins us from Lagos State. We'll be right back.